It was the 1300s, and the bubonic plague known as the Black Death began spreading pestilence and disease across Europe. It was the most fatal epidemic recorded in human history, causing 200 million people to die. It would soon reach Montpellier, France, where Saint Rocco was born. Rocco was born in 1295, the son of the governor. He had the birthmark of a red cross on his chest. From an early age, he was helping the poor and the sick. It was written that his parents sent him to school with the Dominican friars, and then he studied medicine. His father, on his deathbed, designated him governor of Montpellier, but Rocco declined this and passed the title on to his uncle. He lost both his parents at the age of 20, sold all of his property, and distributed it to the needy. He then joined the Franciscan Third Order that had been created by Friar Francis of Assisi, and sent out as a mendicant pilgrim for Rome. Rocco entered into Italy during the plague and wanted to cure the sick. God was listening and helped him perform miracles by prayer, the sign of the cross, and the touch of his hand. His reputation as a healer spread quickly, and many people began seeking him out. He finally arrived in Rome and delivered a cardinal from the plague. The cardinal introduced him to Pope Urban V, who on seeing him exclaimed, "It seems to me that you are from heaven." Rocco remained with the cardinal for 3 years, healing wherever he went. At a hospital he was visiting, Rocco himself came down with the plague. Rocco went into the woods so as not to infect those around him. He drank from a nearby stream when a strange dog appeared and began licking his wounds. The dog was sent by God and eventually left, but came back the next day with bread in his mouth for Rocco. Again he licked his wounds and then disappeared. The dog saved Rocco's life. The dog belonged to nobleman Count Palestrelli, who noticed the dog taking bread from his table and then disappearing. One day the Count decided to follow his dog, which led him to Rocco. The Count then brought Rocco back to the castle so that he could gather his strength and heal. Eventually, Rocco decided to return incognito into Montpellier. There was a war going on at the time. On his way back, he was arrested as a spy by his own uncle who did not recognize him, and he was thrown into prison. True to the desire of pilgrims to remain anonymous, he did not tell his captors who he was. After 5 years in prison, he was near death when a jailer noticed a blue light radiating from his body. Upon hearing this, the governor asked his identity, and he replied, "I am your nephew, Rocco." When the governor saw the birthmark of a red cross on his chest, he knew it was him. At the age of 32, Rocco fell into the slumber of death. This was 1327. Instead of being forgotten and fading away, the legend of Saint Rocco flourished and grew over the next 7 centuries in all corners of the earth. When plague threatened the Council of Constance in 1414, prayers for the help of Rocco were ordered, and the outbreak ceased. The plague spread through Italy in 1477, and his followers gained momentum and recognition. Rocco's popularity grew rapidly in France, Spain, Germany, Lebanon, and Brazil. He was venerated by the Catholic Church in Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, and Montenegro. He died on August 16, 1327. His body was removed and taken to Venice in 1485. Pope Alexander VI built a church and hospital in his honor. New plague-related images were created because he offered hope and healing before, during, and after times of pestilence. The images of Rocco, scarred by the plague, yet alive and healthy, was visual proof that one could survive and conquer the disease. Few images of saints expose any afflictions, but his pose is considered unique because he is pointing at his infection. He was canonized by Pope Urban VIII in 1629 and became known as the Plague Saint. His fame spread throughout Europe into Asia and South America. When the faithful were faced with pestilence, they turned to Saint Rocco for strength. Many churches in the United States dedicated Saint Rocco, like the many other churches built in his name in many different countries around the world, honor his feast day on August 16th with elaborate celebrations, colorful parades, and good food and music. Author F.T. Prince, in his 1983 collection Later On, wrote a monologue from the perspective of Saint Rocco's dog, entitled His Dog and Pilgrim. In 2012, a Philippine fantasy teleseries, translated as Saint Rocco's Dog, depicts the dog from the statue of Saint Rocco coming to life to serve as a guardian of a protagonist's blind girl. Saint Rocco received renewed attention during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Bishop of the Diocese of Charlotte, North Carolina, encouraged the faithful to pray for the intercession of Saint Rocco to end this pandemic. The legend of Saint Rocco and his dog were honored by the U.S. Catholic magazine when they wrote, "We may all rest assured of Saint Rocco's sanctity. He must have been a good man indeed for dog to have proved him."